What's up, everyone? We are back for another episode of TMP. Today's special guest here is my good friend from Texas, Mr. Hunter Labrada. Hunter.
Sir, how you doing, Dennis?
I'm doing great, brother. How you doing?
Man, I can't complain. I cannot complain, especially, sitting here at, 7 weeks out from the Chicago Pro, feeling really good.
Hey, listen, and you have every right to feel good because, first of all, I'm happy that I don't have to be the one in a tank top. And I'm glad I'm not wearing a tank top today because if I would, I would probably look real stupid right now. I got to say, man, you look really, really, really great for 7 weeks out. I mean, I follow you. I watch the pictures you post, and you're very open. You have no secrets. You blow your stuff out. You offer your diet. You offer basically everything. And I really appreciate that because I was similar. I always, I said, I got to create some kind of hype if I'm, people are not around me all the time. So I think that's awesome that you do that. And watching you, looking at you now and looking at you a year ago before the Tampa Pro, which was your pro debut, I can honestly say that you did your homework, man. That's unbelievable. So you must feel great.
Yes, sir. No, it means a lot coming from you to hear I said I did my homework. But, we had a great rookie season. It was one that I, truly could hold my head high about, once we finished it up. Won the pro debut, 8th at the first Olympia. The Olympia placing was, good enough to where I didn't feel like I failed myself, but it wasn't good enough that I was even remotely happy with it. So it was like a best case scenario. Went into the off season with a fire lit under my ass and it being very clear where I needed to improve. And that was, my whole backside, especially, the lower lat specifically. And, first of the year, pretty much we kind of chilled the rest of 2020, but, hit the ground running in January. And we've just been, absolutely hammering my back and, it's responding well. And, I've said this before in some interviews. It was one of those things for the longest time I wasn't training my back correctly. And, I feel like truly now, I figured it out for me at least in my, mechanics and my structure. And I really do feel like it's just a matter of time now because I'm adding tissue to my back like I'm adding tissue to everywhere else now, which is at a very fast rate. So
I'm really glad you said that because I know what you're saying when you say, I didn't really train my back right. You think you're doing, you're going through the exercises and you're doing what you're supposed to do, but you didn't have that connection before. And that's why it showed probably on stage that your back wasn't up to par. I don't want to say you had a weak back. It wasn't really weak, but it just wasn't maybe up to par with all the other body parts. But yeah, you figured out that you're going to have to pay more attention probably. And, if you get that connection, that's when you see the improvements. And when you see the improvements, that motivates even more.
Exactly, man. And you hit it on the head talking about motivating even more because, in past preps, my back's always been one of those things, I got to give him a shout out for this. I have a lot of detail on my back from my dad. Like me and my dad, we have a ton of detail on our back. So, when I start prep in the past, it looked like I didn't really have much going on back there. But, as I get leaner and leaner and things start striding and fingering, it gives the illusion here. It's kind of cool because at the start of the prep, it looked like I had a back. And, now as the weeks are going on and that signature detail that I always get starting to come in, it's like, oh, okay, this is cool. Let's keep on doing this. It's definitely adding, fuel to the fire, feeling like we're just literally like slapping meat on where we want to right now. So it's fun.
Exactly. Yeah. And hey, listen, you're on the right track. That's for sure. Talking about your dad, what was it like growing up, being the son of an IFBB professional bodybuilding legend? What was that like?
Honestly, it made an evolution over the years. Growing up.
When did you realize? How old were you though when you realized who your dad was in the bodybuilding industry? I mean, you probably as a kid, you probably didn't pay attention to anything.
Yeah, no, for sure. And like I said, it's kind of like made an evolution. Like growing up until I was like maybe 12 or 13, I was like, yeah, he's just that. I knew he bodybuilded, like whatever. Like we'd be out and about and like some random old guy could recognize him and I'd be like, okay, like, cool, whatever. Yeah. And then as I started getting into athletics, it was football. I started getting into football, really paying attention to what goes into, becoming very good at any, athletic endeavor. It started clicking on me, not necessarily in a really bodybuilding sense, but just from an athletic standpoint, it was like, oh, Dad was, one of the best in the world at his sport. And, at that point, I'd begun really working and, pouring myself into football and kind of realizing what it takes to even be a good high school football player in the state of Texas, let alone, one of the best in the world at a sport. So, I started to have some appreciation for it, I would say, like in my early teen years. And then, 18, 19 rolled around, and that's, when I really, kind of departed from playing football and, made the head-on dive into bodybuilding. It's whenever I truly, immersed myself in bodybuilding and, really started to pay attention to the culture, I really educated myself on the history, like looked into those who did it before me, if you will. I really kind of came to, appreciate and realize just, how incredible it is what he did, the top, 7 times top 4 at the Olympia when he's 5'6", 185 pounds dripping wet, when, during Lee Haney's run, so it's just what he was able to do during his career. It really, really, clicked and, set in, I guess, probably around 2021. And then, the more and more that I do this and the more and more, the higher level that I reach, it's just, it makes you understand more and more and more just how good he was at what he does, so it's been a cool evolution over the years.
Right. I somewhere heard, I don't know, remember where it was. I think it was on another interview you gave that he wasn't a fan of you starting bodybuilding or being a bodybuilder. Is that true?
Yeah. So I'll tell you a funny story. So I don't know if it necessarily was he didn't want me to bodybuild so much as he didn't want me to stop playing football. So, all through high school, I was a pretty good high school football player. I was, all state my senior year, all district, 3 years before that, earning a scholarship up to school in the Northeast. And, we spent a lot of, time on my football, like all the recruiting camps, sending tape out to coaches, communicating with, spent a lot of time. And, he thought that's really what I wanted to do. So, at the time he was like, I don't want him to throw away this thing he's been working at for, 6 years now,
right.
For bodybuilding, bodybuilding's always going to be there with his thing. And I was like, actually, because at that point I go, at this point I've had 3 concussions. I have avulsion fractured my hip, broke my arm, dislocated my shoulder. It's like, no, it's bodybuilding's not going to be there if I have some kind of maiming injury playing another 4 years of college football, so It was one of those things where at first it wasn't a popular decision. He was not happy about it. And, over time,
did he try to talk you out of it? I'm sorry.
What's that?
Did he try to talk you out of it at one point?
Oh, 100%. Yeah. He did not want me to bodybuild. He wanted me to play football, and then,
well, he was probably
I think it was twofold. I think, he's been there, done that, knows what goes into bodybuilding at the highest level. And then also, he knew how, dedicated I had been to football and how much he knew it meant to me at the time. So he was a good dad about it. But, fast forwarding, once, I'd really putting in, like a year and a half of, eating 6, 7 times a day, training my ass off. When I went to school my freshman year, I went up there at like 195 pounds and lean, and I came home, at the end of the year at 235 and fluffy, so I did my work in the kitchen and in the gym. And, I think after he saw, a year of me really taking it really seriously, it was one of those, all right, well, it seems like he's going to do it regardless of whether or not I help him. So why don't I help him and we do this the right way and, have some structure and a plan to it. People always talk about the way I did things as an amateur. The reason that I did things as an amateur the way that I did is because of him. And, that is, starting out at the local show, winning the overall of my class there. The next year going to the big regional show, winning my class in the overall there. The next year going and hitting a junior level national show that is not a pro qualifier, winning my class and the overall there. And then at that point, okay, it's time to go hit a pro qualifier at a national show. That was all elite. If I had, listened to those around me that were chirping on me, I probably would have tried and gone to go to nationals and gotten smashed after I won the Europa in 2017. So it's definitely been cool having them in my corner, kind of, with the guidance, once you realize this is what I want to do. And, as time's gone on, I think he's really realized at the same time that I've really realized, the potential that I really do have. Yeah. Because if you look at the pictures from my first show, you don't look at it like that guy's going to be on an Olympia stage.
Right.
It's the last thing in the world you think, honestly.
True.
I'm very realistic about it.
True.
But, as time's gone on and, I've been able to make the strides that I've made, he's, seen more and more. I was like, okay, let's do this. you do have what it takes.
True.
So it's been a cool journey to be on with him.
Yeah. I think probably back when he tried to talk you out of, bodybuilding and playing football instead, he's probably thinking that the rewards later, there's way more money to make in football if you could make it really big than if you make it really big in bodybuilding, because compare what they were making back in his time.
Yeah, but I'll have to stop you because for him nor me, the NFL was never an illusion.
Okay.
It was always one of those things. It was a Division II school. It was like they were ranked top 10 in the country, but it was Division II school.
Okay.
So it wasn't like big time Division I football. I was good, but not great at football, and in my head, I have the potential to be truly great at bodybuilding. And that's what I want to do, is be truly great at what I do. Yeah. So, it was an easy decision for me at that point. And it's one that, him and I laugh about pretty hard now. I was like, I made the right decision. How old, man? And he's like, yeah, I can't argue with you on that one.
How wrong can it get if you, you already involved with one of the best supplement companies ever? Number one, Lee's products are from since then and to this day top notch. So you don't ever have to worry about having a supplement sponsor. Those are the things you grew into the supplement company. Number one, so you don't have to worry about no good supplements. It's not like people sign a contract with supplement companies, and sometimes they sign a contract with stuff that they don't really like. It happens. It happens, and I say it openly because there's a lot of people that sign contracts, just to sign a contract. At the end of the day, then you have your dad who has all the experience in the world, who can give you all the advice in the world when it comes to being an Olympian, not only a bodybuilder, but being an Olympian at the highest level in our sport. I can see where that sometimes can be a little bit of a, sometimes because you both have, probably two different egos. He has the experience and his knowledge. He's the experienced guy. You're the newer guy. But times evolved. As a newer guy, you might think, but what you guys did back in the days might not work today. So I could see that there sometimes could be some kind, not arguments, but maybe disagreements here and there.
You know what they say about working with family?
Yeah.
No, all jokes aside, over the years, I really feel like it's been something that we've, worn the splinters off of and made it smooth, if that makes sense. We took the chopstick and we threw it like this, and there's no more splinters left on it, because when I first started bodybuilding, it was like he was the one that was going to help me with everything. And then, the first time that, I broached the subject of, maybe I could, get some help from someone. These days, a lot of people are using coaches because coaches were not a thing when he was bodybuilding.
True.
So it's like, that was the first one. He's like, well, what do you need a coach for? You have me. And it was like one of those things, we've, over the years, there's been like some stuff like that happen. But, we've always been able to, bury it, squash it, and move on from it. And, what's really come out the other end has been, really and truly, he helps me pose. Like he 100% helps me pose. There's no one better to help me pose.
No one.
Outside of that, he is a very, 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 reliable set of eyes for me. From the standpoint that we have the same genes and genetics and, the similar body response to a lot of things. And then B, he's just got a great eye for bodybuilding. So it really helps me out a lot in those final weeks when we're trying to get my look right. That being said, he competed, the heaviest he ever was on stage was 192 pounds, and I was 249 pounds at the Olympia this year, with the main thing needing to be is I need another 5 to 7 pounds of quality tissue to be competitive, so it is a different animal in that sense. And, I don't feel, I feel like my best bet was to, seek outside help and outside education, at first. And, to be truthful with you, in this last year, I really have transitioned to doing pretty much everything, myself along with the help of my training partner. We coach together, under our business and standard training systems. But, it really is, me and Brian making all my calls at this point. So that was something that was important to me when I first started doing this, when I first started working with people. It was never, okay, I want to be, with this person for the rest of my career. I want to, keep on doing this for forever. It was, I want to work with the best of the best. I want to educate myself. I want to, really find what works. And then, past a certain point, how to do it.
Right.
And, past a certain point, you just need the eyes and you need someone to help keep your head screwed on straight. And, I'm not going to say I'm there yet, but I am going to say that it's made bodybuilding very fun and exciting for me again,
Right.
really getting to experiment and, really learn how to dial myself in.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, the good thing is you guys, the younger guys like you, Ian, Nick, you're the guys, you're the new breed, and it's good for me and for all of us older guys, and to see there's talent coming. It's we don't have to worry about the IFBB Pro League, losing talent, because you can see talent still there and it's coming up. And I'm so glad you guys are here, because you're under 30, right?
I'm 29, yes sir.
29 years old, man. Imagine. It was
very much so one of those things, I kind of understood where people were coming from, for a good, 2010 to 2020, it was, the same faces with not a lot of new blood coming up. So I can understand why people were
I'm really,
what's happened in the bodybuilding. But, really and truly in the last year and a half, it's gotten, like you said, exciting. Me, Nick, Ian, James, Rafa down out of Brazil.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really, really good young guys coming up. So it's really exciting.
It's really exciting, because like you said, since Phil, that was it. Coming out in the nationals or any U.S. qualifier. Now, we're not talking about international pro qualifiers, so that's good to see. Now, let me tell you this, because I watched you since you turned pro. And I remember, how many years ago was it? I think it was kind of 2-3 years ago. I was doing a photo shoot with Gorilla in Vegas at the Olympia weekend. I saw you train. I think it was, you were training with a girl, maybe your girlfriend. I'm not sure who it was. But I watched you, and I saw you before. But when I look at you there, and I look at you now, how much you progressed in the last 2 years is unbelievable.
You diet down, train hard, and supplement smart for months. When the time comes to step on stage, don't leave your tan to chance. Go with the pros. Pro Tan. #1 worldwide since 1987 and the official sponsor of the Olympia for the last 15 years. Don't step on stage without it. Pro Tan.
At this level, to still make this much improvement in 2 years, it's crazy. So how did that happen? What did you do, man? What was your game plan, and what was your strategy to make those kind of changes?
Man, really and truly, you want to know what happened?
Yeah, I want to know. Maybe I can still do it.
I got my shoulder fixed.
Oh, so you were injured.
So for my nationals prep, when I won the national championship, that entire prep for 4 months straight, I did not do one bicep curl. I did not do one bench press. I could barely pick my arm up over my shoulder. So, basically, I told you all those injuries I had playing football, but at one time I got tackled from behind holding the football, came down on the arm, and I dislocated the shoulder and broke the arm up here at the same time. And there's a ligament that holds the long head of your bicep in the bicipital groove called the transverse humeral ligament. Mm-hmm. And when I did that, it blew that ligament out. It just cut, blown in half. So at the time, didn't know that, never got an MRI, felt reasonable enough. But, over the course of literally a decade, that tendon was just riding in and out of the groove, and essentially it basically rubbed itself in half almost. So
okay, so what did they do? How did they fix it?
Yeah, so I had what basically is called a bicep tenodesis, and doctor went in after I won nationals, and when I got the MRI, the doc was like, you can get through nationals, but it needs to be fixed. But after the surgery, when I woke up, he goes, if the MRI would have presented what it actually looked like, I would have told you to come get surgery the next day. Apparently the bicep tendon was barely holding on.
So stop right there. Let me see if I'm correct. So what they did was they cut the biceps tendon here and connected it in your armpit?
No, yeah. So essentially they clip it at the labrum because it ties in at the labrum, and then they drill it into the bicipital groove where it's supposed to be.
Oh, that's what they did.
Yeah, so cosmetically it looks the same because it's still coming from the same joint groove and everything. Mm-hmm. But, functionally it's not riding in and out of the groove anymore.
Got
so
you.
I went from literally not being able to press and barely able to do a bicep curl to, being able to train my upper body the same way that I train my legs. You know, people are always so freaked out about my legs. You know, the reason my legs look like they look is because I've been able to train them how I want to,
right?
You know, for the entire time I've been training.
But I wasn't
able to train any of my push muscles the way I wanted to from 2016 to 2018. And then after I won nationals, I got my shoulder fixed in February of 2019, and then look what happened since then.
Your arms look just as crazy as your quads.
Yeah.
That's what trips me out. You got one of the best double biceps out there right now. I mean, your arms is huge. How big are your arms?
It's funny you asked that. My dad was freaking out about them the other day. He literally made me tape them. So just end of the day, completely cold, no pump. They were 22 and a quarter.
Yeah. That's
the right one, and then the left one was 21 and 3/4. So
yeah,
right around 22. 22 cold.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, there's some big boys out there these days, man. I feel like you gotta have a 21-inch arm these days. Yeah, 21 I think is necessary if you want to be up there. But like I said, you know, I know guys with 22, 23-inch. They don't have that biceps, you know, that peak that's not there. You know, the look that's what I admire when someone does the front of the bicep. Just like weight, man. Measurements aren't the whole story.
Yeah,
just like weight ain't the whole story.
So in the back of your head now, you know, you obviously don't want to ride in your dad's shadow, which you have your own career, and you know, do you secretly in the back of your mind say, I need to beat my dad's record so I could be my own, or how do you ride on that?
Well, you know, the only thing Lee didn't do was win Mr. Olympia.
True.
Essentially, that's the only thing he didn't do. You know, he won the New York Pro Night of Champions for his debut, won all the Grand Prix, you know, just didn't win the Olympia. So I do want to do better than my father did, but it's not to be like, oh, I did better than my dad. It's just because I have the same goal that he does, and I have the same goal that everyone else that's on that open stage does, and that's to be the best in the world. Right. You know, so it's got nothing to do with trying to be better than him. It's
but you guys never have like a funny argument where, you know, where me as your dad would say, hey, play second at the Olympia, then you can talk.
Oh, yeah. No, I get it all the time, man. Yeah.
So that's why I'm asking. I said, all you got to do is just play second for the first time. So I said, now we even. Now shut up.
Yeah. No, then I got to do it. I got to place top 4 7 times, and then we can probably talk.
Well, you probably can win the Olympia.
Or I could just win it once. That trumps it.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I don't think that, you know, when I look at the lineups now, the older generation that's still ahead of you, I'm not saying that you can't beat those guys. I'm not saying that. Because I'm convinced that any of you, Ian, Nick, James Hollingshead, because not a lot of people talk about him, but I think he will be a force. You guys are absolutely...
I think more and more people are talking about James, and I think anyone that isn't talking about him is going to be talking about him after the Olympia.
They will.
James is legit.
Yes, I believe that too. And I think that you guys absolutely are good enough to dethrone every single one of the guys ahead of you right now if they're not on. Okay? So don't make no mistake. I'm not saying you guys have to stand in line like the way we felt back in the days when me, Dexter, and all the younger guys, when we came up, Melvin, all of us, when we said, all right, we have to wait for Flex, Ronnie, Sean, NASA, all these guys until they fucking disappear so we can move in. You know? I don't think this is the case in a situation we have right now because you guys are really that good. You know?
Yeah, no, I feel like we're that good, and then, you know, I feel like all the names you just listed, we're all progressing like crazies now.
Yes, because
you know, it's not like, you know, this is as respectful as possible.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people have been delivering, you know, I feel like the same physique plus or minus, you know, 5% for a couple years in a row now.
Yeah.
You know, that's not the case with the younger kids. Every single show that we do, we're coming in, you know, 3-4 pounds heavier, harder, bigger.
Yeah, but you know why that is, right?
We're young.
Exactly. You guys still young. You guys are. It can only go up. Once you get past 35 and 40, now you're trying the hardest to maintain a condition you had 7-8 years ago. So this is a different link. You guys are just progressing just by staying active and being in the gym, and that's why I believe this is going to be very interesting Olympia this year. But before we talk about the Olympia, man, I want to talk about your next show coming up in 7 weeks, you said?
7 weeks. We're just inside of 7 now.
It's a fucking stacked show. Now, if you think about it, you got 3 more opportunities to qualify for the Olympia.
Yep.
You got Chicago, we got Texas, In Tampa.
Tampa. It's Tampa, then Texas.
Unless you would go to the Bahamas.
Yeah.
So, Texas and Tampa, or Tampa and Texas, whichever way around. So now, everybody's doing Chicago. Probably why? Smart thinking. If I don't win, I got to collect points. You know what I'm saying? So now, you got you, Sergio. We have Ian. Is Ian in it?
Ian's not doing Chicago.
Oh, he's doing Tampa.
Doing Tampa.
He's doing Tampa, right? So, but I talked to Ford a couple of days ago, last week.
Yeah, you got me, Serge, Akeem, Brett Wilkin, Joe Mackey, Justin Mackey. Who else?
There was another. I think there was another.
I say Brett Wilkin. Brett Wilkin's doing it.
Yeah. So you guys, you, Sergio, and Akeem are the ones, the highest ranked athletes going into the show. Okay. And of course, you got Joe Mackey. You got a lot of talent going into the show.
Dude, speaking about Joe looks nuts.
That's a huge dude, man. I'm telling you.
Joe's a freak, man.
That dude, I'll be honest, I didn't even know who he was.
Dude,
I didn't know who he was.
Freaky huge. He pulled 800 for 2 the other day, too.
I know. Think about that. That's some crazy shit, man.
It's some Ronnie shit, man.
Yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah, so you guys know each other because you're both from Texas.
Yeah, no, me and Joe are boys. We're both sponsored by Gasp. He lives like 3 hours north of me. I'll see him whenever I'm up there.
Yeah, strong dude. Yeah, lots of muscle. But tell me what you're thinking, man. Who's your biggest competition in that show? Let's look at it on paper. Akeem is the highest ranked, 6th place at the Olympia.
Yeah, I mean, just going strictly off paper, I think Akeem's the one to beat in that show. You know, based off of his Olympia placing, and, you know what he looked like. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I have never seen him even close to what he looked like at the Olympia in terms of conditioning.
True.
He really nailed it, and, you know, he got rewarded for it, rightfully so.
True.
He looked awesome.
True.
You know, Sergio's coming off the 5th place or 4th place, and
the Arnold.
Columbus, you know, obviously won the Best Poser Award. You know, he's going to be big. You know, he's going to have his posing routine down. You know, so both of them, obviously. And then, you know, outside of them, you know, Joe's a freak. Brett works just as hard as anybody else. You know, I'm not really discounting anyone, you know, going into that show. And, you know, I don't know who it'll be, but I'm training to win the damn show. That's for sure.
Right. So that's that. I know you have to. That's the only mentality you can use. But if you look at the two, let's say Sergio and Akeem, where do you beat them? Why do you beat them? What do you think is better on you? Why do you think you would win that show? And we're not knocking nobody because they're all great.
No, for sure.
Because anybody can beat anybody on any given day. So we're not saying, you know, I just want to know, where is it that you will beat those guys?
So I think that for me to have a chance against them, because I'm not going to sit here and say, like, they're obviously both like bigger than I am, for sure. You know, Serge is almost 6 foot and he'll probably be, you know, 275, 280 on stage. And, you know, Akeem's my height, but he'll definitely go, you know, 275, 280 on stage. So not one of those things I'm coming in to try and play a size game with them. It's not. Mm-hmm. You know, the start of this prep, you know, I've been saying the same thing to my dad and Brian the whole time, and that is, you know, I want to be able to see my organs by 12 days out.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like I can get that kind of lean. I feel like I have the head on my shoulders to suffer to get that kind of lean. And I feel like, you know, with the shape that I have, and, you know, I'm not small. Like I said, they're big. I'm not small.
Definitely not.
You know, so I bring the size that I do have in absolutely just peeled. I think that's how I do it.
Yeah.
You know, just because, you know, I feel like I have, you know, the tightest midsection out of the three of us. And, you know, if I really accentuate that, you know, really keep my legs full and don't, you know, diet them off, I feel like it will be able to erase some of that size discrepancy just, you know, off the illusion. And, you know, so that'll all remain to be seen. You know, like I said, they're both going to bring it. I know they are. So I'm looking forward to mixing it up with them.
They have to, because it's not like you have a lot of options to qualify because, like I said, Ian is...
You know, the fact of the matter is there are going to be some big names missing from the Olympia this year unless they do special invites. Because, you know, off the top of my head, there's me, there's Sergio, there's Akeem, there's Ian, there's Rolly, there's Steve Kuklip. That's 6 people right there with 3 qualifying shows. And, you know, top 2 go on points. That's 1 missing already.
And there's another one I forgot who's also doing Chicago from what I heard, Nathan.
Oh yeah, Nathan DeAsha too. He's
Yes.
Olympian too. He's not no one to sleep on either. So it's someone's not going to make it.
That's an Olympia level.
It's
that's
do or die time. So someone ain't going to make it to the other that's used to be in there.
And that's exactly the conversation I had with Ford last week. I said, listen, all these great guys, and there's going to be one or two, or maybe even three, that's not going to make it. That's crazy.
And that's just the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
I'll speak for myself personally. The Olympia being in December last year, I was kind of thinking / expecting it to be, in December again. So whenever I picked my shows, I picked them, off of that time frame. Right. And I feel like that might be the reason that we've seen some of the weaker lineups earlier in the year.
Yeah.
Is, people were expecting, one time frame and not another. But yeah, from here on out, every single show is going to have 4 guys that should be on the Olympia stage. Yeah. In the top 5, I think.
There's a real high standard Olympia level qualifying events coming up. That's crazy, man. That's crazy.
I think the remainder open pro shows of the year, all of them will have the top 5 will be wild looking. I think the rest of the pro shows for the rest of the year.
That is crazy. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because it's just going to domino, because the people that don't qualify from the first one are going to end up in the second one, and the people that don't get it down there are going to end up in the third one. So it's just each show is going to get more and more full.
I did hear, I don't know, was it Ford who told me last week? I did hear from someone that Akeem is doing also Bahamas.
I've heard that through the grapevine as well.
Yeah.
So,
but he will still do Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
He would still do Chicago. That's what I heard. I don't know if it's true. I didn't speak to Akeem, but that's what I heard. Akeem, that's actually the one that I need to contact. Yeah, but that's crazy. So who do you think is your biggest threat?
Sergio and Akeem.
Sergio. See, Ford said the same. Ford has Sergio winning. I was like, but he had a good point. Ford pointed out that Sergio appears small until you really see him.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, stand next to him to see how big he really is. It's a big dude, and he's always in shape.
Yeah.
So you see the same thing. Yeah, you agree with Ford, basically. Yeah, it's your biggest threat.
Yeah, man, honestly, you got to be excited about it. He's a great bodybuilder. I'm a decent bodybuilder. And, the storyline's going into it. If you're a fan of bodybuilding, you got to be excited about it. That's 2 second-generation pros, going head-to-head with, Olympian fathers. So, in terms of being a bodybuilding fan, Chicago's going to be an exciting show. Yeah. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, well, you have to. I mean, I'm excited. I'm excited as hell because I really want to see. I would like to see all of you guys back in the Olympia stage because I think there's at least 2 or 3 moving into the top 6.
Yes,
that's what I really believe. And even Nick is very confident that he will make top 5. And it's very possible because if I compare you guys with, let's say, let's go into the Olympia stage because we have Rami. We have Brandon. We had Phil. Phil is out, so this one spot is available right now. Then we had Hadi, William, and Akeem in the top 6.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm talking to you. I'm talking to Hunter Labrada. Hunter Labrada, who out of the name I just mentioned, do you believe you are going to be able to beat this year? Not next year, not in 2 years, this year. If everything that you're working on right now, and it looks phenomenal, if everything stays as smooth as it is and nothing goes wrong.
And, everything continues to go the way it is and I'm able to really hit my conditioning, I would love to see what I look like standing next to William and Akeem. And I say that in the most respectful way possible. Oh, yeah. But, I think I'd compare very well, with Akeem. It's one of those things that, if I can bring the size, I'll stand well next to him. And then obviously William always comes in pretty razor sharp and's got some really freaky body parts. So, I'm a little taller than him. So I feel like if I could bring, some really good conditioning along with my lines, I feel like I could stack up well against him. But, truthfully, like you said, at the end of the day, I feel like a lot of us younger guys have that number 5 spot in our heads right now. So I think it'll be a bloodbath getting there, and then I think it'll be a bloodbath for it. So I'm looking forward to it.
I'm just going back all these years where I was in your position, and I was like, getting ready for the Olympia. And I was not afraid to go in and say, I'm coming to kill. I'm coming to kill anybody that's ahead of me, you know. I mean, sometimes you need a little help. The guy that's ahead of you sometimes needs to be a little off, you know, for me to get into that spot, you know. Mm-hmm. And I remember where you at right now. It's that's what I felt going into the Olympia back in 2003, where I ended up in 4th. You know, I had the same way, the way you just think, the way you're thinking right now. That's the thinking I had going into the show. And I'm just, like I said, I have to say it again. I'm just happy to see that there is young talent, you know. And I don't even call you guys rookies anymore. You're not a rookie no more. You've been to the Olympia, so you're an Olympian, okay? The only rookie this year will be James and Nick. Ian and you are already
and they
Olympians.
aren't going to look like rookies.
Yeah, and they're not, exactly.
They're not going to look like rookies.
And when was the last time we saw a rookie coming into the Olympia and he's placing? You know, that was Phil Heath. If you think about it, there was no one else. So it's time, and I'm happy, and I'm looking forward to it. You know, I'm looking forward to Chicago. I'm looking forward to Tampa, of course, and Texas, which is in your backyard. Are you doing all the shows?
I'm doing what I need to do to qualify, and nothing more.
All right, let me ask you another question. If you win Chicago, are you doing Texas?
No, if I win Chicago, I'm done.
So you would literally...
Like I said, I'm doing what I need to qualify and nothing more. I win the first one, I'm done for the O. If I have to do the second one and win it, I'm done for the O. If I have to go to the third, then I have to go to the third. But I'm doing what I have to do to qualify.
And why, let's say if you win Chicago, why would you not do Texas, which is in your backyard, and collect another check? Is that because you don't want to risk, and this is just me asking questions. You don't think I'm thinking that. It's just questions. Is it because you don't want to risk losing against one of the guys before you get to the Olympia, or do you want to make space for these guys to qualify?
So I think I'm going to say there's 3 reasons. You know, the first being the short time frame that we're turning it around on. You know, there's a big difference between me having 10 weeks before the Olympia and me having 8 weeks until the Olympia. Mm-hmm. Those extra 2 weeks give me time to, you know, let my body chill out for 3 or 4 days, eat for 2 weeks, and then start dieting again, which would make all the difference in the world. Slows down that way. That's where my head's at, because obviously, you know, after, you know, winning my debut last year and going to the Olympia, my focus is on the Olympias now. Mm-hmm. Like, I want to, you know, do what I need to do to get there and then have my best foot forward for the Olympia. And to do that, my best option is to get it done as quick as possible and then focus on the Olympia. The second reason is, you know, really and truly, you know, human nature being what it is. You know, if you have 2 bodybuilders that it is absolutely neck and neck, like you don't know who's better, but one of them's qualified and one of them isn't, the human nature in me says they're going to qualify the person who isn't qualified. Gotcha. Like truly, if it's neck and neck, because I'm not saying like the politics, like whatever, like I'm not making this a politics thing. I'm simply making it the bodybuilders truly are the same. In my mind, it would make sense to qualify the one that's not qualified.
I hear you.
I don't want to run into a situation like that. And then third, like you said, you know, it's another show. It's 2 weeks later. I have to peak myself all over again. And you know, I don't want to do something where it's, you know, my stock is here going into the Olympia and then I do a second show and I do it down to there because I messed up my peak or my body was tired and someone beat you who shouldn't have beat you.
I just asked the question so you can explain exactly the way you feel. Sure. Because for me, it's all about being honest, you know. I mean, if it just because I beat you today doesn't mean I beat you every time, because today I'm on because I was prepared, and next time maybe I'm not as good as I was today. So
That's
I'll
sports,
say,
man.
Yeah, exactly.
That's sports.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So out of the guys we mentioned, you, Ian, Akeem, Rolly, Nathan, who did we be? Sergio, and Joe. Who's going to be the 3 qualifying for the Olympia? What do you think? I know we got you. We got you winning Chicago. Who going to win the other 2 shows? Sergio.
I think Sergio will go for sure, and then I think, you know, I think the 4 really and truth.
No. We're talking about 3 shows right now.
Yeah, we're talking about 3 shows right now. Dude, it's.
I know. That's why I'm asking.
It's a good. I'm laughing because it's a good thing. It's exciting.
I know. Like, I went back and forth with Fuad last week. We went back and forth, and we tried to change it. Somebody's going to get it.
Yeah. So I win Chicago. The next show's Tampa, and everyone who's not qualified does that show, I have Sergio and Ian duking it out of that one for sure.
Okay, so
and I'm saying all this based off. I'm saying all this based off Akeem winning Puerto Rico.
Okay, so
if Akeem does Puerto Rico, I think he wins Puerto Rico if he shows up in shape.
Okay, let's say he doesn't do Puerto Rico, which probably would be the smartest thing to do. But let's just say there's no Puerto Rico right now.
Let's say there's no Puerto Rico.
I want to know.
No
I want to know what you're thinking.
Three of us banging it out of Chicago. I'm of course going to go with myself at Chicago. Whatever. That is what it is.
Yeah.
So after Chicago, you got Ian, Sergio, and Akeem going into team. Rolling like thunder. Nathan. I'll say this. I think whatever show Rolly does, I think he'll win if he comes in like he normally comes in.
Okay, well, yeah. Okay, so you give it to Rolly.
Yeah, if Rolly does Tampa, I think Rolly will win Tampa.
Okay, so we have Texas. And
then we got Texas.
Ian, Akeem,
and we got
Nathan.
If Rolly wins Tampa, Texas, we got Steve, Akeem, Sergio, Ian. So it's yeah. Regardless of what happens, regardless of who wins the first two shows, that Texas show is going to be crazy.
Regardless, whatever happens to Texas, I'm going to give a hug to a couple of people for sure.
Yeah, that Texas show is going to be stacked.
Now I'm going to tell you what I believe. I believe Rolly was going to do Bahamas. He's right there.
You think who?
Rolly. He's right.
Oh, okay.
He's right there in Curaçao.
Is that where he is right now? I didn't know if he's over in the Middle East.
I think he is.
Okay.
Oh, that's where he's.
That would make a lot of sense based off the pictures we've been seeing of him because he looks pretty gnarly right now.
Yeah, I mean he's right there. Why not jump into that show? Get your qualification if possible. And get it out the way. Why? Because the same way you feel. Why run to all these shows? Or why put your basket in the last show? I mean, all your eggs and
I hadn't even thought about Rolly doing the Bahamas. Yeah. That's an interesting thought too, because I know he looks like he's in pretty damn good shape right now.
Joe Weider's Olympia here in Orlando, Florida. A little bit strange coming out of Las Vegas for all of those years.
Good evening, and welcome to the event that nearly never happened.
There's been an absence of a particular group of people on this stage that are back tonight. Tonight I'm here to say, welcome back to Miss Olympia.
If he can come to the U.S., you can come to the Bahamas. It's there. The chances, especially if I would look at the lineups like we just talked about, I would like, wait a minute, what's the first show I could do?
Yeah.
To get it out the way, I'm not trying to mess with all these young cats. Just because my name is the biggest name don't mean I'm going to win.
Yeah, that's true.
But you're right. If Rolly is in shape,
That was my caveat.
Yeah.
Rolly comes in looking like Rolly normally does in his normal shape. I think he wins the show he does.
Yeah. But I think there's going to be two guys that should be on the Olympia stage. They're going to have a hard time making it. And I don't know who's it's going to be. I'm just looking forward to it. And I'm a huge fan now. I don't know why. I can't wait.
No, like I said, I'm a fan of bodybuilding just as much as I'm an athlete in it, and like talking about it with you, that's got me like super excited for the rest of the season, man. There'll be some good shows.
Yeah, that's why if you're doing Chicago, you're ready for Chicago. You can get it out the way if you win Chicago, and you can just sit back and watch this thing go on because it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to ask you one last question before I let you go, my friend. Give me a prediction for the Olympia this year.
For the Olympia?
Yeah. You don't have to go, into detail.
No, yeah, I think Rami will repeat.
You think he can repeat?
I think he'll repeat.
Why do you think he can repeat? We all know Rami. He's been there since 2013, 78 years. He was not consistent.
The reason that I think he can repeat is that, I don't know him at all, except for my limited experience I've had with him. Dude's the nicest guy in the whole wide world. I can't believe how nice he is. Like, he really is like the most awesome human being. But, I really feel like he's always, whether it be his camp or him or someone, I feel like he's always worried about coming in too big.
Right.
And I feel like this was the year that, he finally, and I know you were involved with him, so you can probably know better than just about anybody, but I feel like this is the year he finally committed to coming in conditioned, regardless of his body weight suffered a little bit.
Right.
And, obviously he looked the way he looked and he won. So I feel like he would, and this is just me postulating, but I feel like, that win with that look will give him a lot more confidence to continue pushing that look because he knows it was a step in the right direction.
Right.
So I can definitely see him repeating as long as he continues to build on what he brought last year.
Right. I mean, I couldn't help but notice that you did not mention Hadi Chopin and Brandon Curry earlier. Are those guys that you think you can't beat this year? And if not, where do you think these guys will end up?
Are they what?
Hadi Chopin and Brandon Curry. Because earlier when I asked you how far do you think you can...
Are they... honestly, I don't think I have the maturity to beat Brandon or Hadi yet. Especially both of them. They're, strongest body parts, my weakest body part at this point, which is, back. They both have absolutely wild backs, both the amount of mass they carry and the detail and the shape. So I feel like I could stand with him in some shots right now, not many, but, I feel like, whenever I really bring my back up to snuff is whenever I'll be knocking on the door of being able to really stand next to them.
I like the way I like the way you're open and talk about this stuff. And not a lot.
I'm very, very realistic about it, and it's not like, because people are like, you got to have confidence in yourself.
True.
I have all the confidence in the world in myself. I'll look you in the eye and tell you it's just a matter of time before I think I'll win Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
It's not a confidence issue. I am a realist. Why should I expect to beat these men who have just as good a genetics as I do and work just as hard as I do, and they've been doing it for another 10 years longer than me?
Right. No, you're absolutely right, and you have every right to say that. I mean, you
will drive yourself absolutely insane if you don't keep things in perspective. It's life's a journey. It's not about the destination.
Who would you consider your biggest fan? Your mom or your dad?
Biggest fan?
Yeah.
My dad, for sure.
Yeah,
he loves doing this with me. It's fun seeing him.
I watched your dad last year at the Olympia, and I talked to him a couple of times, and it was so good to see how nervous.
It's really fun to do.
How excited and how almost nervous he was.
Oh,
this
dude,
whole weekend.
We were talking about football at the beginning of this, so he used to be just as nervous as I was on game days. He'd be at work on Fridays, like, not being able to eat, like being a little shaky and all adrenalized and shit. And I still remember before the Olympia this year, we were all chilling up in his hotel room, and he was more nervous than I was. Man. Like, dude, you got to calm down. You're freaking me out.
But I can understand it as a dad. I can understand because he sees his son doing the same thing he did, and you're right up there with the best of the best. And the standard compared to the way when he was there, there's way more competitors, So it's I think the sport has evolved so much. I'm not taking nothing away from back then because he had to fight Lee Haney. Lee Haney is for me the best bodybuilder on the planet, next to me with Ronnie Coleman. So and he got as close as second. You can't knock him. There's nothing. Lee Labrada is an icon of the sport. He will always be an icon. He's a legend. And, hey, I can't wait for him to be there with you when you hold that sand out, winning the Olympia.
Yes, sir.
Be honest. You got time. You're 29 years old. Come on. I didn't turn pro till I was 32, so you got all the time. Yes. And I did 11 Olympias,
Truthfully though, you went pro and it was hard to go pro.
Say what?
You went pro whenever going pro was truly hard to do.
When I went pro, there was only one pro card, yes.
It was truly hard to do. We were talking about that the other day, me and my dad.
Yeah, there was only one pro card. The year I did it was 98. They just introduced for the first year the super heavies. So the overall was 7 competitors instead of only 6. So they added a class, yeah. I only did it once, so I didn't have to come there twice. I flew in from Thailand and just did it the first time. But anyway, brother, I appreciate it, man. I'll let you go. I know you probably got to eat, train, or do things. I'm looking forward to you killing it in Chicago, my man. Tell your dad I say what's up. I appreciate you making the time, my man. I will talk to you for sure. And sometime in the future, after the Olympia, maybe, to get, another update, see how you feel by then, brother.
Definitely, man. Love to talk anytime. Always a pleasure, Dennis.
You the man. Take care, brother. Be
Appreciate
safe.
you having me on.
Bye-bye. Peace out. Awesome. That was crazy, man. That was
cool.
good.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, man, you're awesome. I can't wait. I really can't wait. Now I really can't wait. Because I see what you look like. That's fucking crazy. You like
I'll
me.
text you some pictures. I gotta take my check-in pictures in like a day or two. I'll shoot you some. You can tell me what you think.
I was like you. I was ready early. I scared the shit out of people. 2 months out, a week, 4 weeks out, 2 weeks out, and then I fucked it up on camera.
I don't get why people want to be so secretive. You know?
Yeah.
If you are smart these days, you realize that your worth is largely based off of your fan base and social media, and they want to follow along with you and be a part of it with you.
Yeah. But you know what it is? When people post pictures, they mostly take the pictures after the gym. You're fully pumped, you look great, and then when you get on stage, you don't have that volume, and they're like, he's not the same. But you somehow look better on stage than in the pictures. I don't know how you did it because I couldn't do it. I always fucked it up last minute. So I'm glad to see that you do the same thing and you back it up, and so that's why you're successful, brother.
Appreciate that.
All right, my man.